There are times where many of us feel called to take action. We see the world around us and we see that it is not going the way we want it to go. Jason, have you ever had a moment like that where you've looked around and thought to yourself, this world is just not going the way I want it to go? Have you had those thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. A lot lately.
And I think what we could do is we could look at the world and say, I don't like what's happening. And we could complain.
True.
We could just make an endless list of complaints and say, you know what, these are things I'm not happy about. Mm-hmm. Or we could do something crazy. We could be part of the solution.
What?
We could actually say, I'm going to solve these problems. And on today's show, we have a man, Ken Reddick, who saw corruption, who saw deceit, and who saw that he could no longer work for the man he once called a friend, and he had to no longer work for the man. He had to quit working for the man and actually decide to run against the man. Ken Reddick is running to become Tulsa's next mayor, Tulsa, Oklahoma's next mayor. He is not down with the Rockefeller plan. He is not down with the New World Order.
Nope.
He is down with individual freedom and liberty. His name is Ken Reddick. He wants to be Tulsa's next mayor, and he is on today's show to say this is why he humbly asks you to vote for him. All this and more on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show on your radio and podcast download.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, 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 and yes! We are in the air everywhere, and Jason Beasley, we have inside the studio today, we have a man who wants to become the next mayor of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yes, I actually got the privilege to bump into him at the city council meeting, 2-3 weeks ago?
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I have to ask you this because we're gonna start at the bottom, and then hopefully the show gets better. You have some questions that you have wanted to ask this potential mayor of Tulsa.
This is true.
Josh Wilson has some questions. We're going to ask questions. It's kind of like a town hall almost. We're going to ask a lot of questions. But I want to ask you, Jason Beasley, are you going to be voting for GT Bynum?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Well, one of the reasons why I wanted to get into local politics was because of my disappointment in how Bynum has handled a lot of the things over the past year.
Give me maybe 2 things. Just 2 things. Just so we know. Two reasons why you are choosing to not vote for GT Bynum.
Well, the biggest thing is just him deciding to be not only silent but complacent when it came to the shutdown of our entire city. He is one of the, if not the one person to make the judgment call on that, and he kind of just threw his hands up and said, I don't know, and then was just gone for a couple weeks. And then on top of that, everything happening now with limiting everybody's, rights as an American people to make their own decisions and mandating masks based off of information that he doesn't himself understand.
You don't like that he did shutdowns?
No, not at all.
You don't like that he mandated masks?
No.
Do you believe that it is helping save any lives?
It's not. I mean, if anything, it's making businesses worse. Okay,
and you know what? We have a lot of facts on thrivetimeshow.com. If you click on the COVID chaos button, we have a lot of facts that would support what you just said. Josh, you're a business owner, Living Water Irrigation. I'm just setting the table. Jason is a business consultant.
Yes, sir.
You own an irrigation company. Not going to ask you who you're going to vote for. I only ask Jason that. I wouldn't ask you that. But I am going to ask you, you're a business owner. Are you a fan of shutdowns?
Not at all, sir.
Okay. So here we are. Ken, you want to become mayor.
That's correct.
Why do you want to become mayor?
All the reasons you've heard in this room today, just dissatisfaction with local government, improper representation. I don't see a reflection of my core values represented at City Hall. So there's no one there that's, in charge inside the mayor's office that's worked in the private sector. They have no idea what they're doing. They prove that, all the time with their, policies and standards, and the fact that they reach outside of the city of Tulsa for most of their agenda, with the mayor's challenge and, bringing in the Rockefellers, and we've become the beta city.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. You're saying a lot of things that I agree with, and I want to just unpack them all so the listeners get this. What are what are your values? What could you said that his values don't align with your values?
Right.
What are your values?
I'm a conservative Christian business owner, so what I care most about is how well is my business allowed to function inside of the city of Tulsa? Am I free to make my own decisions moving around Tulsa? Am I free to go to church when I like, the church I want? Am I free to participate in my local social groups? Am I free to operate as a parent inside the public school system? Am I free to make decisions for my children?
There's this controversial document written back in the day called the Declaration of Independence. Josh, have you ever heard of this controversial document called the Declaration of Independence?
I have.
Wow, you get a mega point. Now,
Wow,
Jason,
that's all I had to do.
I mean, that's big. I mean, a lot of people they're not familiar with this document. So one of the controversial ideas that our founding fathers had was this. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator, God, with certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
That's correct.
So a young boy wants to pursue happiness today. He cannot leave his home.
Nope.
Heard a horrible story of a young person who has their parents have not let them leave their house for months to respect the shelter-in-place orders of the mayor, even though they know the virus. They now know the virus isn't as deadly as they thought. They've seen the doctors who are sharing the death rate of COVID. They've probably seen the telegraph. They know now. They know it's not dangerous, but they want to respect the mayor's rules.
Right.
So their kid, they both work. So their kid is around the age of 15 and is at home by themselves all day.
All day.
And they cannot pursue happiness.
Right.
Do you believe that we derive our rights from God?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you know what? I'm going to give you one mega point there. I agree. Okay, so now you said you believe that the mayor of Tulsa does not reflect your values. So you believe in individual liberty?
Correct.
You believe that we have the rights for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness?
Absolutely.
Not that you're, as mayor, you could affect it necessarily, but are you in favor of abortion?
No, not at all.
Why?
Killing a life in the womb. You're ending a life, and there's nothing more cruel than that, I think.
So you are in favor of the city being open right now?
Correct.
You are not in favor of mask mandates? What's your take on mask mandates?
I think they're overreaching. When you mandate everyone to wear a mask, you're forcing one opinion upon 100% of the public, and you're not taking into account anyone with an underlying health issue, anxiety issues, PTSD issues. We're triggering traumatic experiences with some citizens in Tulsa by forcing them to wear a mask, and we're also putting some citizens at health risk by forcing them to wear a mask.
So you're not a guy who's currently in favor of the masks, is what you're saying?
Right. I'm not anti-mask. I'm anti-mandate. And I'm also anti-non-education standard when you create an ordinance.
What do you mean by that?
So we're not educating anyone on the proper use of a mask and the sanitary use of a mask. We're just forcing them to wear it, and then the ordinance stops there. There's no requirement for education past that point.
Okay, so you're I just make sure very, very clear, when I'm trying to draw differences between you and GT Bynum.
Okay.
So one, you're not in favor of masks. We got that. You're not in favor of the shutdowns.
Mm-hmm.
You're a very outspoken pro-lifer.
Right.
You mentioned the Rockefeller Group.
Right.
Now, I know about the Rockefeller Group because I know these things. Josh over here is normal.
Okay.
Josh is a normal person.
Ooh, thank you for that, sir.
No, you care about your wife,
Absolutely.
your family. You care about your faith.
Yes, sir.
You care about your business. And if I'm over speaking, please feel free to argue with me. I would say that you would prefer to not spend your time discussing coronavirus, mask mandates. You kind of want to just work and hope that it works out.
Absolutely.
Is my correct
anything
with that?
I can do to further the kingdom and go to work and take care of those that I love and those that I can impact. That's pretty much it. Yes.
Okay, so that's
in a
your
simplistic view.
That's your take, though.
Yes, sir.
So that being said, the Rockefeller Group. Josh, what do you know about the Rockefeller Group? I want to get Jason's take on this. I mean, just you're the average Tulsa citizen. You know a lot about sprinkler repair.
Yep.
You know a lot about the Bible. Know a lot about your family. And I'm not. This isn't like a trick question. I just want to know, how much do you know about the Rockefeller Group?
0.
Okay.
I know John D. Rockefeller, and I know some of his, and one would assume it's some derivative of that, but I have no earthly idea.
So, Jason, how deep does your knowledge go into the Rockefeller Group?
Are we talking about Jay-Z's label?
No,
Oh,
we are
well
talking.
then-
Well, we are not talking about Jay-Z's, but you get to make a point for knowing that is Jay-Z's label. Okay, so what do you know about the Rockefeller Group?
I'm going to have to unfortunately give my mega point back because I don't know enough about the Rockefeller Group.
No, but you
Okay.
do know Jay-Z's label, though, so you get to keep it.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link on today's show notes to the Rockefeller Group's plan, the actual PDF, their plan, so that way people can see their actual plan. But now, will you explain to us, sir, because you want to be mayor, what is the Rockefeller Group? Educate us.
It's a liberal, progressive group that is looking for cities to implement specific progressive policies across the United States. They want to create a footing in Middle America where they can implement policies, create beta programs. They're looking for beta cities, and Mayor Bynum has sold us out, 100%. He's allowed anyone to come in here, create our agenda, and force their policies upon us. Most recently, their most recent interest in the city of Tulsa is with just tracing and tracking and creating a policies of tracking, who you coordinate with, who you associate with, and, along the lines of just coronavirus and COVID-19 issues.
So I'm putting a link right now to the PDF of the Rockefeller plan. I'm putting a PDF so that way people can people will have the ability to read it if they want to. It's all going to be right here. This is the link to the Rockefeller plan. I'm putting a link to the plan. Now the plan, what's really interesting is the plan calls for, it says there's going to be a big epidemic, a big pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to put a link to the audio, too, so the listeners can listen to the plan here. This is an interview with Harry Vox.
The willingness.
I'm going to put a link here. But this actual plan, I'm just going to play a little clip to you. This is specifically Harry Vox explaining the Rockefeller plan. He's an investigative reporter who's no longer with us. I'm going to hit play.
Absolutely,
Things like that.
positively. And what this means, though, is don't think about having a cigarette, a joint on you, or basically you can't. This is a dragnet for everything. So if in order for you
in other words, just like with stop and frisk, this is ultimate stop and frisk.
this is the ultimate
is
cavity stop and fix, cavity search kind of thing. All right. So during the pandemic, national leaders around there flex their authority. They're now there's some good stuff. Listen to this. And even supermarkets,
This was written in 2014.
they want body checks at supermarkets. Okay, so basically what they're saying is they're building a system where every move you make,
You can't get
got to
food.
go through them.
You can't get food.
Can't
Well, how
get
about if
food.
you go to the farmer's market?
Right. Here's the good stuff now. I mean, it just keeps getting better. Even after the pandemic faded, this more authoritarian control and oversight of citizens and their activities stuck and even intensified. That's the whole point. So they're going to get rid of...
Didn't that happen already with 9/11?
Of course.
9/11 was how many? 14 years
Sure,
ago, and
sure.
we still have all these draconian
So they're
rules.
going to put the body cavity
USA,
searches
Patriot,
in.
and all
That's
that
right.
stuff.
So in order to get to a supermarket, you got to have a body cavity search. And then when there's no more Ebola, well, you know what? We kind of like this way because we have an complete infrastructure of a control grid. In order to protect themselves from the spread of increasingly global problems, from pandemics and national terrorism to environmental crisis and rising poverty, leaders around the world took a firmer grip on power. Well, what the hell would rising poverty have anything to do with imposing strict citizen controls with face masks? So they're very sloppy stuff here. At first, the notion of a more controlled world gained wide acceptance and approval. I'm sorry. Nobody likes this stuff. They're just
Continue on.
saying it.
Continue on.
No, I
Let's
have
hear
to provide analysis.
Only because we only have 5 minutes left, so that's
Oh my
why.
God, okay. Citizens willingly gave up some of their sovereignty and their privacy to more paternalistic states in exchange for greater safety and stability. I mean, that's just a complete naked contradiction to the famous saying that if you think you're going to give up a little bit of security, I mean, if you're going to give up your freedom for security, you're going to get neither. That's the long long-standing thing. And here what they're doing is they're not even ashamed or embarrassed to absolutely say the exact opposite. They're saying, yes, we all want to give up our privacy and sovereignty from...
This is an actual written plan by the Rockefeller Group that explains in great detail how they are going to, in the year 2020, shut down America.
Right. And here it is.
And they're doing it.
2020, and we're watching it, and Bynum's on board.
He's on board. And the thing about it is that I knew about this stuff, and I don't run around talking about this stuff because it freaks people out.
Right.
So I don't ever, if you ever talk to me, I'm not going to bring it up. But when I saw the shutdown happen, I thought surely people wouldn't agree to shut down their businesses.
Yeah.
Surely people know that the news is fake. I've been on the news multiple times, and I start to wonder, am I fake?
Right.
Because I'm on the news.
Right.
I mean, seriously, the news is fake. We know, I mean, specifically, if you're watching One America News right now or Newsmax, they'll have truth. If you watch Tucker Carlson, that's some truth.
Right.
You watch Ben Carson, that's some truth. You got, President Trump tweets out the truth. You go to CNN, I mean, whoa.
Right.
Whoa. So you are telling me you're not down with the Rockefeller plan?
Absolutely not.
I need to know more. People are listening. They don't know what we know.
Right.
So I want you to tell us more about what GT's into. How close have you been to the man? What have you seen?
Okay.
Tell us, because we don't know these things. We're not into the political game like you are.
Right.
And then I'm going to open it up for Josh and Jason to ask you any questions they want. The only rules are no cursing and no weak questions. Those are our rules. No. So here we go. So what? Tell us more about GT the man. Tell us about him.
So I knew him about as well as anyone. I was actively I actively participated in Tulsa mayoral and Tulsa city county elections, city elections and council elections pre-2016. When he came off the council and he actually stated that he wanted to run for mayor in 2016, everything that he was doing up to that point made a lot more sense. His close associations with Kathy Taylor, him being the rubber stamp on city council, forcing us to remove the partisanship and then flow into a different mayoral election season system where we removed it from 3 years and we moved to 4 years, and then we staggered the city council every 2 years. It made a lot more sense when he made that move in 2016, and then his close ties to Kathy Taylor became very obvious when he named her as his chief of staff day one. She took no salary, and then it made everything that she was doing in between during the Bartlett years after losing to Bartlett.
And quick context for the listeners. I want to make sure we get this.
Okay.
Kathy Taylor.
Right.
I've had dinner with Kathy Taylor. And Kathy,
Okay.
if you're listening, how you doing, Kathy? I disagree with Kathy on every major value, I think,
Right.
that I know of. But she's a cordial person with me when she was with me. She was always cordial with me.
Oh, yeah.
And I received the Entrepreneur of the Year award for the state of Oklahoma for the Small Business Administration. And when she gave me the award, I didn't want to shake her hand because I don't agree with her.
Right.
So I did shake her hand. We went out to dinner, and it occurred to me I don't agree with anything she's in favor of.
Right.
Can you please explain? We got the Rockefellers. You mentioned that.
Right.
You mentioned you ran really. You're close with them.
Right.
Talk about who's funding GT. How did GT show up? Where does GT derive his income? Does he have an outdoor irrigation company like Living Water? Is he a business consultant? Does he make lettuce that he sells? Is he a barber? What did he do?
So GT, after leaving college, Villanova, he immediately went to D.C. and he worked as a lobbyist. He was a staffer for multiple senators in D.C. After becoming pretty good friends with Kendra Horn and Mayor Holt out of Oklahoma City, the three of them created a lobbying firm where they would lobby for local counties inside of Oklahoma, none of which they ever actually worked for. While he was a sitting city councilor for District 9 in Tulsa, he actively would seek out grants for Rogers County.
Does he have a big house?
Oh, yeah, 36 in Peoria area.
I know people that have been to the house.
Right.
How did he buy the big house? What does he do? Does he sell lettuce? Does he
No.
do haircuts?
No, never.
Does he
He's always
install
been,
irrigation
right.
systems? What does he do?
He's only ever worked in the public sector. He's only ever been a city councilor, a lobbyist, or the mayor of Tulsa. He's
What
the
do you
fourth
make?
mayor.
What do you
of his
make?
family.
What do you fourth mayor in the family?
Mm-hmm.
How much money do you make if you're a city councilor?
When he was a city councilor, I believe it was $24,000 per year.
$24,000 a year.
Right.
So, and how old is GT approximately? Is he 40?
41.
So if he's 41 and he's making $25,000 a year, how many years was he a city councilor?
I believe eight or 9.
So that'd be like 8 years times 25,000. So that would be like
196 grand.
196 grand of total income
Right.
during that period of time. How does he make money? I want to go back. How does he make money?
He's a lobbyist. He lobbies for other counties outside of the city of Tulsa.
So how does he make money?
They pay him to go get money.
Who's they?
Other municipalities, other local governments.
And then how does he either get a commission on that? How does
That's
that work?
correct, yeah. He keeps a portion of the money. They pay him a fee, or he keeps a portion of the grant.
So who does he get his money from?
The government, the federal government, and other people like Bloomberg. Bloomberg came in.
Bloomberg?
Right.
You're saying Bloomberg?
Oh, yeah.
I've been
Michael
on Bloomberg. I've been
yeah.
on Bloomberg. I've been on the TV show. Bloomberg's very, very left.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Very left. Did you
yeah.
say Bloomberg, he hangs out with Bloomberg?
Oh, 100%. So that's where the mayor's challenge actually came from. After Mayor Kathy Taylor lost to Dewey Bartlett, she found herself at Harvard University, where Bloomberg's former administration and Harvard professors were coordinating to create the mayor's challenge. They soon after took that mayor's challenge to Europe, implemented it, data collected in multiple socialist cities, and they brought it back to Central America. And around 2016 to 2017, about the same time that Mayor Bynum was taking office here in Tulsa, Kathy Taylor, who had helped implement and create the Mayor's Challenge system with Bloomberg, said, well, I've got connections in the city of Tulsa. Let's take this there. And really, all they want you to do is they take this pamphlet, they take this manual, and they say, this is a manual on how you should better run a city. This is our system. We would like you to implement it. And in return, we just want the data. So Bynum received an award in 2018 from Bloomberg himself. He came to Tulsa.
For doing the moves, following the plan.
Correct. For not only for doing that, but for participating at the highest level of every city that was cooperating.
Now, have you Mr. Reddick, Mr. soon to be mayor of Tulsa, Mr. Reddick, Mr. Mayor Reddick? I got to get used to saying it.
Yeah.
Mayor. Okay.
Mayor Reddick has a really cool ring to it.
Mayor Reddick,
Just saying.
Does it kind of flows like roll the R?
Are you aware of Jeffrey Epstein? Have you looked up Jeffrey Epstein?
Oh, yeah.
Are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein bankrolled Harvard University?
Oh, yeah.
Are you aware of this?
Yeah.
And are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein tried to create his own race of people?
Isn't that crazy?
I'm reading Fox News. So Jeffrey Epstein teamed up with Harvard to create his own race of people. The article you can look up, folks. And I'm sorry, the commercial's going to play here.
Does more.
The article's called "Epstein Bankrolled Harvard Scientists to bioengineer his own human race." Are you down with that? Is that cool?
No, that's nuts.
So you're not down with Jeffrey Epstein, the most prolific pedophile ever?
No way.
You're not down with the Harvard people making their own race of people?
No, it's disgusting research.
Are you not a fan of Harvard taking all that money from China? Are you not a big fan of that?
No. Yeah,
and folks, I'm putting links here. This is all fact-checked here. And Josh, you're seeing me do it. This is all fact-checked here.
Yes, sir.
That being said now, so we know that you are against the masks.
Right.
You're against the shutdowns.
Yep.
You're against pedophilia. That's a good point for you.
Absolutely.
Put that on a bumper sticker. You're also you're against the taking funding from Bloomberg, and you're against taking funding from you're against the Harvard connections. You're against all the Rockefeller plan.
Right. Mostly because if you're taking someone else's agenda and you're implementing it in your own town, politics are local. You're not going to properly address the issues that affect Tulsa most. If you want to find out what's affecting Tulsa most, you don't go to Bloomberg. You go to the kitchen table here in Tulsa. You have town halls. You invite parents and teachers and students. If you want to implement policies that will truly affect Tulsa, you have to go to Tulsans.
So here we go, rapid fire round. We're going in fast here, Josh. Get ready, rapid fire. We're moving on to the rapid fire round here. This has been kind of a heavy show. We got to lighten it up a little bit.
Are we doing a hoedown?
We're rolling out the barrel of fun here. Here we go. little German American festival for you there.
Yeah.
Jason, I dedicate that to you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So, Josh, what questions do you have for Ken? Rapid fire. Here we go.
So my two questions would be a two-parter, two questions, however we want to term it, Ken. So I don't follow a lot of politics, just out of sheer honesty. I am getting more into it this year with the climate of what's going on. My two questions would be, as a Christian, you mentioned that you're very, very much against abortion. Love that. My other thing is what are you going to do to reinstill those Christian values back into Tulsa?
There we go.
And then my second question would be, as a business owner, so obviously you've done it yourself as well, what are you going to do to help small businesses?
Okay, so first question.
Christian values.
Christian
what are we going
values.
to do
How
to
I
implement
it?
Christian
Okay.
values, get that back where it should belong in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
So, honestly, you got to find yourself talking to the pulpit a lot more. You got to get information from the actual congregations, and the best way to do that is speak directly to the pulpit. Our 10-point coalition, that plan is built on coordinating with local churches. If we can't communicate with the local church, that system is going to fail. And that plan, that model is actually designed to reach out to all local churches, activate their most active members of the congregation, train them, back them, and get them activated in their local community.
Love that.
Okay, we're moving on to the next question. What was the next question? What was the next? You had
Small business.
Small business
Small
owners, yeah.
business. What will you
Okay.
do to help the small business owners?
So we have to create a universal permitting system across the entire metroplex. We have to create efficiencies that allow small businesses to better operate
Come
from
on.
city to city. We do that by creating a universal permitting system across the entire metro. There are firms that are ready to pull the trigger.
Yep.
It's just Tulsa doesn't want to do it.
I'll say this. One of my clients, the mayor of Broken Arrow, Mayor Thurman,
Thurman.
will tell you, it's so much easier to get stuff done in Broken Arrow right now
You're
than
absolutely
Tulsa.
right.
Tulsa
Yeah.
has ridiculous regulations that make it almost impossible to build anything. What you're saying is 100% correct. That's why Broken Arrow's been growing so
Yeah,
much
you're
in Tulsa
absolutely right.
that's been stagnant.
Stagnant.
Jason, we have time for one question for you, and then Dr. Z comes in to ask really rude, tough questions.
All right, so as everybody's seen over the past, 8-9 months, there has been a particular spectrum of the political party, let's call them the left, that has been completely awful about removing Americans, First Amendment, just any of their constitutional rights.
Right.
And so even at this point in my life where I would say that I am an atheist, I do not share the exact same spiritual values as everybody in this room,
Right.
even I would never, ever ban anybody meeting for church. That's ridiculous. So as a future mayor, should I say, with strong Christian values, how would you uphold everybody's constitutional rights, whereas the left is completely disregarding them? What would you do to protect the rights that we all have?
So with the shutdown, regardless of if you attended a church or not, it actually forced people to not be able to gather in their social groups. And those are support groups too.
Right.
So it forced people to become hermits in their own home. We couldn't connect as well. Emotions were, out of control. So you separated people from their actual communities, regardless of if it was a church or just, your local social group or your local club or your local favorite bar. People had a huge connection problem. And to be human is to connect. So, you're infringing upon people's happiness and their right to move around freely.
One thing we need to know is G.T. Bynum is not a stupid person.
Right.
He's executing the Rockefeller plan.
100%.
This has nothing to do with the virus. He's
Right.
executing the plan. Dr. Z, you're here. You are an objective man. You are a Republican. You are a business owner who is boldly.
businessman.
You've helped support.
A beautiful man.
A beautiful man. But I mean, you were at the epicenter of helping support the man who's now the head of NASA. I mean, Bridenstine. You were
Yeah,
at
my
the
brother was his campaign manager, and they said when he started to run against a 5 or 6 term incumbent that he had less than 1% chance of winning.
Now, I was thinking
he wasn't in politics before.
I'm throwing out an idea. I'm thinking here, and you could shut me down. I'm thinking we have a building. Have you been to our building, Ken?
What building is that?
The Riverwalk. Well, there you go. There. This just in.
It's just in.
So
What building?
I'm just saying. I would like to host if you would be willing to have some sort of fundraiser
Okay.
at your. If you need a place, I'd love to have it at the office, or
Yeah,
maybe
it'd be
we
great.
could host one because you and I like to stroke checks for people that we believe in. Do we not?
Absolutely.
So we wanna seriously help you.
Okay, that'd be great.
But before, I want to help you because I agree with you.
Oh, thank you.
But Z, may the rude interview begin. Any questions you want? We got 5 minutes of fury. Here we go.
Okay, what skeletons are we going to find in your closet? What's going to come out? What's going to hit that? What's going to come on?
Right.
Do what?
Right. So I think I don't know. So it turns out the worst thing that's apparently in my past is I was divorced at the age of 25. So
25?
yeah, I've got an angry ex-wife apparently. So
Okay, so that she's gonna pop out of the closet. Oh yeah.
no, not so much her.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
it seems like it tends to be her just loud drunk friends. So
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, that does happen. And
Okay.
is she still in Tulsa?
no, we haven't spoken 10, 12 years.
Okay.
Are you a member of the Nazi Party?
No,
Okay.
never.
Just
Are
wanna
you a
clarify that.
communist?
No,
Do you support socialism?
no, absolutely not.
Okay.
Are you a good guy?
Oh yeah, I believe so.
I saw the pictures. You got. Are those really your kids, or are those just
Yeah.
models that you hire?
Yeah, they'd make great models though, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they
so
would.
They're
So, I
fun.
mean, no,
yeah, they
you're
adore
sure.
me.
They're not
So.
just hire
So
a
far,
kid
he
for a day.
said he won't make you wear a mask.
Okay.
He doesn't believe in the shutdown.
Come on.
He is aware he actually worked with GT Bynum and knows for sure he's executing the Rockefeller plan, which calls for shutdowns in the year
Absolutely.
2020.
Which is
It's
the
actually a
reason I
plan.
walked away.
So you were aware of it. So that's why you
Yeah,
walked away. So
100%.
he's covered. We've covered some ground here. But see, if we're gonna write a check or allow him to use our facility maybe to have a fundraiser event or something, I mean,
We got to know.
we got to know.
Okay, so walk the public through right now. Walk us all through. What are the dates coming up? What do they mean, and what happens?
So August 25th is the Tulsa City election.
Okay.
That's all city council that's all city council positions that went challenged, and also the mayor. So August 25th, if no single person on the ballot, there are 7 candidates running for mayor. If no single person breaks the 50% threshold, then the top 2 candidates go to the November 3rd ballot. We see with current polling, especially from the FOP, that they had the most in-depth polling, thousands of people on that survey. We don't see a path to victory for any single voter. Too many candidates are splitting votes. So
Yeah.
Who are realistic challengers? You and GT. Anybody else?
Gregory Robinson. That'd be about it.
What endorsements have you picked up? Have you picked up any endorsements?
Locally, nothing official yet, but we've been told by many organizations that they will post soon that they will endorse our candidacy.
Has the window closed for anybody signing up now? I mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
so
June
we're down,
10th
we're
was the final
7.
date.
Are they
Right.
all Republicans, or do we know?
No, there are 3 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and 1 independent.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Where do you differ from the other guy that you mentioned? The other guy you said, hey, there's
Gregory Robinson?
Yeah. Where do you differ from Greg?
Oh, it's night and day. So he's the chapter president for the Terrence Crutcher Foundation.
Get out of here.
He's I've been told that he is the default president for a local BLM chapter.
Just so we're clear, because I know some people don't know this, but Black Lives Matter. If you go to their website, I just interviewed Ben Carson. I was doing some research, and he's not white.
Huh. Imagine that.
I just interviewed the U.S. He's the housing secretary, Ben Carson, super strong neurologist at the age of 33. He's running Johns Hopkins. Nobody could be more black than Ben. And Ben said on our show that Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization.
Absolutely.
The founder of Black Lives Matter has said that.
Oh, yeah.
So you're saying you're running against somebody who's in favor of that.
Oh, absolutely, and funded by it.
Oh.
Well funded by it.
Wow, that's just crazy, isn't
Right.
it? I mean,
What's-
right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem, right here in the epicenter of redness.
What
right?
blows my mind is that he mentioned this earlier, but GT, and just so we're clear, I don't mention this to a lot of listeners, okay?
Right.
But I'm putting a link to it now because we need to. The Rockefeller plan came out, and in 2014, they said the year 2020,
Right.
we're gonna do a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna call for a shutdown. We're gonna call for masks,
Right.
and then we're gonna create sort of a police state, and that's how it's gonna roll.
Right.
GT's not a stupid person. He's literally implementing the plan. You know this to be a fact.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he calls us a beta city. He says, "Bring your test here." He'll implement them.
And you
He'll
know
gather the data.
he hangs out with Bloomberg.
Oh, 100, he escorted him around the entire city. He did interviews with them, and he gladly accepted the $1 million prize
And I
for
know-
being a city that participated at the highest level with the Mayor's Challenge, designed by Bloomberg.
And I know for a fact he shut down the Tulsa Trump rally. I had a White House pass. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
there at the
Yep.
White House. I was there at the Trump rally, and at 4:45, President Trump was supposed to speak at 7. At 4:45, the entire lower bowl was full. See, that's like
Right.
2 hours and 15 minutes before he's supposed to be there. A lot of security, but it was already full.
Right.
And then it just stopped.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
a skybox. We thought, here it comes. Now the upper bowl is going to fill up because the lower bowl's
Already full.
and the
4:45.
ground was full, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart. Are you guys going to have
Yeah.
any kind of debate? Is there anybody talking about?
So So we do have the closest we've come to an actual candidates debate will be the Sheridan Church forum held on August 11th. Bynum has declined. What I'm being told is Bynum or Gregory Robinson have declined every legitimate debate up to that.
Are you? Were you on Pat Campbell?
Yes, I was.
How'd that go?
If you like talking about one subject, it went really well.
What one subject did you talk about?
He only wanted to know about mask mandates and how I disagreed with Bynum on his ordinance.
And I'm not trying to argue with you because it's not nice to get a future mayor and argue with him. But I will say this: that's about all people care about. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
asking about the
It's
other
pretty
issues but it's really hard to have a business that's open when it's closed.
No, you're right.
You're right. It is.
I mean, it's like the thing. I mean, it's like the one thing that separates us from China is we're either open to be free for business or we're not.
Right.
Right.
In China, you want to be open for business. They say, no, we're not. Your QR code is denied. I don't know why, but you can't be open today. And that's what they do in China.
No,
Did it
you're
in
right.
communist Russia. This is a literal thing. In Venezuela, they decide who's open, who's not.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Who gets
GT's
toilet
down
paper,
with
who doesn't? Yeah.
GT's down with weaponizing the health department.
No,
So-
you're absolutely right. Yeah.
And his buddy Bruce Buttdart. Those two guys are just fabulous individuals. Unbelievable.
Well, how do we get the message out? I mean, how does Tulsa know about this? Because here's the thing, like Pat said, like Clay said. I mean, mass. Everybody wants to talk about that. But there's so many deeper issues. I mean, like really deep issues, like this Rockefeller plan. People, I guarantee you, not 1 out of 100 that you'd go ask at the mall would. They'd
No,
go,
you're right. Yeah.
Wasn't he a president? I don't. Isn't he on the $2 bill? No, I mean, they have no clue.
Right. They have no idea how deep into the mayor's challenge we are. You see all these lanes shutting down. You see their agenda across the entire board, and you're never going to get proper spotlight shined on the communities of Tulsa as long as we're following a plan set forth by people outside of our community.
What is your feeling on in our beautiful downtown that's being rejuvenated? What do you feel about the big yellow letters painted down there on the street? Black Lives Matter. How do you feel about that, Mayor? Potential.
So
Hopeful?
I like the idea that they had the freedom to do so in free speech. I disagree with the movement, and I think it's I think a lot of people are confused and misled about what the actual movement is. So I don't like to see that level of buy-in, that ignorant buy-in into a movement like that. But I do like to see free speech, and I like to see people activated in the community, regardless of what.
Okay, so let's say I go rolling up on there and I bring out all my black paint or whatever paint and I paint over it. Would you have me arrested?
No, you have the freedom to do so. It's free speech. It's a public street, though, so.
So I mean, I don't know. Did they block it off? What did they do?
My understanding is that GT Bynum is in favor of said movement, and he totally is like, "Hey, you guys can do it." That's my understanding.
He after denying them the right to gather when they requested a permit, which is what pushed them to I-44, and didn't make them feel welcomed. When he denied their ability to pull a permit and actually have a public protest, it kind of ticked off the whole group. So he had to allow them to do something at some point in time because the optics of Gregory Robinson being the BLM candidate, he was losing liberal votes. So, and that's what he's been trying so hard to earn over the past 3.5 years.
Oh yeah.
Totally. What's your website? What's your website one more time?
Ken Reddick, the number 4 mayor.com. Ken Reddick for mayor.com.
How do you spell Reddick?
Reddick.
And just to reiterate,
Yep.
the children in the pictures, he has confirmed they're his actual biological children.
This just in from our home office.
This just in.
Ken Reddick has actual children. This is amazing. This is not fake news. We're going to end the show with
These
the boom.
they're not like little kid models. He just went.
They're beautiful, beautiful family.
Yeah.
But they're
Thank you.
real.
Really is a beautiful
For a
family.
moment, I thought maybe he went to Hobby Lobby and you get the pictures that are included.
Just keep that.
With the frame. And I thought that's what he did.
I
was assuming that's what he did.
That is a move.
With all the fake news, you never know.
You never know.
Turns out he's not. He's a real person too. He's not a hologram.
I know he's a real person. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, we're cheering for you. We're going to
cheering
support
for you very much. I
Let's do a
appreciate
fundraiser
that.
for
Let's
him.
do a fundraiser.
Okay.
Let's raise some funds.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.